Okay, so far pretty explosive. Pouncing on Sam's, oh, ouch, because it's sexier. Welcome back, guys. Always good to see you. Exciting day. A lot of explosive stuff was said. Today is Scam Sam's moment on the stage. This is Sam's Hail Mary to save his ass. Okay, so let's begin with what Sam said. Mark Cohen starts asking Sam, what communications did FTX use? SBF said Telegraph, Signal, and Slack. Mark Cohen asked him, what is Signal? Sam saying it's a messaging app and that the messages are not saved by any host. Mark Cohen asking, was encryption important to FTX? Sam said yes, because they were hacked, and that data could be vulnerable. He said they were headquartered in Hong Kong at first, and that there, in Hong Kong, there was a lot of security concerns at first. Also that former employees might have data that they could sell to competitors. Apparently Sam said there were political occurrences during a period there in Hong Kong, which meant there was a lot of concern for unauthorized access to staff devices in particular. Mark Cohen asked if FTX got hacked. Sam said, no, never a core breach, but that third parties were hacked. Mark Cohen asking him, tell me about document retention. Sam said that FTX's Dan Friedberg worked on it, document retention, and Fenwick and West also worked on it where Dan Friedberg used to work. Dan Friedberg again comes up, and also Fenwick. Anyways, moving on. Mark Cohen asking, what could participants do with the messages? With Sam saying with informal messaging on Signal that the user can set up an auto delete. Judge Kaplan chimes in. He says that this could be more helpful to him if it were more specific. Mark Cohen asking, did you act in accordance with policy? Sam said yes, to his knowledge. Mark Cohen asks, what about when you put on auto delete? Sam said that those were not channels for decisions. That as a general matter, those were not channels where there would be formal business records. It's all informal chatter. That they were not channels in which decisions would be announced or enacted or documents relevant to regulatory inquiries were intended to be discussed. Just chatter. He said it was chatter, just like somebody wandering over to your office desk and asking if you had any thoughts on, for example, Japanese regulations. Then Mark Cohen puts up a piece of evidence, some of his messages, and he's asked, why did you turn off auto delete? Sam said that he heard from regulators. Then he's asked, who is Ryan Miller? Sam says, General Counsel at FTX US. Asked who's Brett Harrison, he says, CEO of FTX US. Mark Cohen asking, tell me about North Dimension. Sam says that Alameda set it up in 2020. Mark Cohen, sharp guy, he's asking, how was it set up? Sam says, again, Dan Friedberg, shady dude. Dan Friedberg gave me papers to sign and he signed it. Mark Cohen asking, why did you sign for FTX and Alameda, with Sam saying that he was CEO of both at the time, but that FTX did not have a bank account at that time. Getting straight to the point, Mark Cohen, did you believe taking FTX deposits through Alameda was legal? Sam said yes, that he did. Mark Cohen asking, so what is this? Sam saying, this is the application to Silvergate Bank for the North Dimension bank account. Asked who signed it. Sam said, Dan Friedberg. Wow, that guy. Sam added that when North Dimension was set up, he only signed all the paperwork because he trusted that they were proper and of course necessary, that they were given to him. He said he had a lot of things passed around and thrown over at his desk to sign, that he briefly reviewed as much as possible and didn't see anything obviously wrong, saying that he believed having FTX customer money, the deposit money, in Alameda was permitted because of the payment agreements he had signed, adding that it took FTX a couple of years to get its own bank accounts, and before this happened, that customers would send their money to Alameda and it appeared on their FTX accounts, on their FTX wallets. Mark Cohen, let's move on to venture investments, asking where did the funds come from? Sam responding, Alameda Research. He's asked, who did you discuss these issues with? Sam says, Fenwick and West, the law firm, also Dan Friedberg, and Can Sun. Mark Cohen asking, what was your understanding of the loan structure for the venture investments? Sam responding that he told them of investments that he wanted to make, and sometimes, instead of Alameda being the investor itself, that he would be, that he was thinking about it from a business perspective. Mark Cohen asking, did you take comfort in that the lawyers structured all of this? Sam said yes. Mark Cohen brings up and calls up the terms of service. Judge Kaplan chimes in, asking Sam if he read the entire document, with Sam responding parts, that he skimmed it. Mark Cohen asking, what did this apply to? With Sam saying that he thought only to futures trading and that Alameda was authorized to do that. Asked who prepared the terms of service, Sam said that Dan Friedberg did, along with Fenwick and West. the law firm. Okay, then Mark Cohen moves on to a different topic, starts asking about Omnibus wallet, with Sam saying that's where they put all of the customers' net Bitcoins. He's asked if he got into the crypto industry in 2017. Sam said yes. Judge Kaplan chiming in again, he says, hey, Mr. Mark Cohen, we need to know the basis of the witness's knowledge when it comes to Omnibus wallets. So Mark Cohen asked Sam, how did you know other exchanges used Omnibus wallets? With Sam answering that he tracked his own trading on other exchanges. He's asked if larger crypto exchanges used Omnibus wallets. He said yes. They move on to a different topic. Mark Cohen is asking about the Bahamas regulator. Yes or no? Did you attend the meeting? Sam said yes. With his father, Joseph Bankman, and Crystal Royer, that Gary Wang was in the building, but not in the meeting. Sam said they all drove to FTX headquarters and that the day prior, there was a hack and there had been talks of moving some assets. Then Mark Cohen says, that night, did the Bahamas police come and visit you? Sam said yes, and that he gave them his passport. So far, that's all that Mark Cohen asked. Then they take a break, and apparently the prosecution is basically gathering amongst themselves to see what they should ask. The great Scam Sam. Alrighty, so the cross-examinations by prosecutors. And apparently they get testy. Alright, so he's being questioned by prosecutor Danielle Sassoon. Okay, so she begins by asking Sam about his use of signal messaging, asking, did you discuss this use with your lawyers? Sam said yes. That in 2020, there were even lawyers inside the Signal chats, saying that Dan Friedberg was one of them in the chats. Prosecutor asking, what about auto-delete? He said yes. Discussed it with all of them. Asked, when did you discuss the auto-deletion with them? Sam said yes. That this was done shortly after he started using Signal. Asked when he started using auto-delete. Asked if it was in 2021. He responds, yes, that's plausible. Saying that at some point, he remembers changing his toggle on the settings to auto-delete in a week's time. Prosecutor Sassoon asking, did you seek approval of this? Sam said no. Asked, when did the document retention policy go into effect? He said mid-2021 under the review of Dan Friedberg. Asked if the policy dealt specifically with Signal auto-deletion. Sam said no, not on Signal specifically. When did it say you could destroy company records? Sam said there was permissibility. Interesting. Judge Kaplan chiming in, saying, meaning you could do whatever you wanted, and apparently Sam fluttered. Struggling to answer here. Prosecutor Sassoon, where is the document retention policy? Sam still seeming a little fluttered. Sam saying he looked for it, that the policy specifically addressed emails. Document retention in emails, not other platforms like Signal. Prosecutor asking, what lawyer did you discuss this with? Sam saying again, Daniel Friedberg. How was the retention period decided on? Sam responding, my time period was not meant to be the policy company-wide for documents. Prosecutor now asking a very sharp question. Did any lawyer tell you you could delete messages, your messages, with Gary Wang, Caroline Ellison, and Nishat Singh? Sam said no, not specifically. Sam apologized, saying his memory is not working right now, that he wished he had that policy now. Prosecutor asking, do you consider Caroline Ellison's 7 spreadsheets a formal document? Objection beyond the scope of this hearing. Judge Kaplan overruled. Prosecutor charging at Scam Sam. So you believe that deleting the messages with 7 different spreadsheets was permissible? He said yes, saying, for example, that verbal conversations were not required to be reported. Prosecutor saying, you were the CEO of FTX, her of Alameda. He said, yes, of course. Prosecutor jumping in, and you think deleting such messages with 7 balance sheets was permissible? With Sam cracking under pressure. He said, I don't have that policy in front of me right now. Oh my God. He's asked, what about the discussions of shutting down Alameda, deleting those messages? With Sam saying he would not characterize it in that way. Prosecutor asking, did you have discussions about a $13 billion hole? Sam saying, I don't recall having those conversations. I can't remember, guys. I'm sorry. He's asked, do you think it should have been preserved? With Sam responding, it depends. What? Oh my God. Prosecutor saying, Adam Yedidia quoted you saying that preserving Signal messages would all be a downside. Sam saying, I don't recall that. He said he was concerned that these talks would be taken out of context and that it could be embarrassing. Poor Scam Sam, he's embarrassed. Oh, geez, very bad. He's asked if he shared any of this with his lawyers. Sam said, not specifically when it came to data retention policy. Asked, did you tell the lawyers that keeping messages, that it would all be a downside? Sam said, I don't recall that. Did you believe that it would all be a downside, these signal messages? Scam Sam responded, at my previous job, Jane Street, the Wall Street firm, they said that anything might be under the front page. Interesting. He's asked, did you tell employees to have certain discussions only on Signal? He said, not specifically. Did FTX get a subpoena to not destroy documents? He said yes. Then he's asked if he spoke with the lawyers at FTX about which Signal messages he should preserve. He said yes. He discussed this with Ryan Miller and Daniel Friedberg. Prosecutor asking, did you tell them that you were discussing company business on Signal messaging app? He said yes. Then Sassoon asked Sam, what did the lawyers tell you? Sam says that they told him only to preserve formal company business. Asked if they specifically used that phrase, Sam said, I don't recall. Prosecutor Sassoon, again, going hard on Scam Sam. Did anyone use the words informal business conversations and say that spreadsheets, the 7 spreadsheets, qualified? With Sam saying that they were aware that sometimes that would happen. Then he's asked about Alameda. What about Alameda? Sam says he believes that they had a similar policy, that it was mentioned sometimes. Asked when, he says about late 2021, after the co-CEO Jobs went to Caroline Ellison and Sam Trabucco. Asked why he incorporated the North Dimension bank account with Silvergate. He said, Daniel Friedberg. Prosecutor asking, what was your relationship with Daniel Friedberg? Sam said that it changed over time, saying that he, Sam, does not remember giving Daniel Friedberg any direction specifically. Asked why it was called the North Dimension, the bank account. Sam says, does not recall. Starting to get pretty interesting and pretty heated. Prosecutor asking, why did FTX transition from a bank account with Alameda in its name to North Dimension? Do you think banks wanted to avoid crypto hedge funds? Sam said yes. Something like that. This is where it gets a little weird. Prosecution asking, as CEO of Alameda, you didn't know why it moved deposits to North Dimension bank account? He says no, he did not know. Asked, did you discuss this bank account with Daniel Friedberg? He said, I'm not sure. I don't recall. You weren't involved in deciding on North Dimension? He says no, not in particular, that he may have been in conversations. Judge Kaplan chiming in saying, so you don't remember specifically, is that it? Sam responding, I want to make sure I'm answering the right questions. Judge clarifying, the question being the permissibility of using North Dimension to take funds, with Sam responding, only if you count Alameda. Apparently even the judge is having issues with how Sam responds. Okay, then the prosecutor shows a document, the banking application signed by Sam, and they're asking him if he was the CEO of Alameda at that time. He said yes. Prosecutor saying this is a wet signature. He said yes. Asked if he reviewed it, Sam said briefly that a lawyer presented it to him, but there were no discussions about it. Then prosecutor moves on. They show page 1, the description of the business as a trading firm. She's asking Sam if North Dimension was that, a trading firm. Sam said, no, not that I'm aware of. Asked if he reviewed witness notes of Daniel Friedberg. He said, no, not at all. Are there any other lawyers that you talked to about North Dimension being able to use to accept FTX customer funds? Sam saying, does not recall. Sam is asked, were there conversations with auditors about the funds going to Alameda and North Dimension? Sam does not recall. He stutters again, saying he doesn't really recall. He says, I'm not a lawyer. I'm just trying to answer based on my recollection. That at the time, FTX, that certain customers thought that funds would be sent to Alameda, that FTX would keep a debt, a repayable debt, that he did not create this payment agreement, this payment agent agreement. Prosecutor asking, as far as you know, this agreement was not ever disclosed to the public. Sam said, not that I'm aware of. So they move on to the terms of service. He's asked what a particular provision is about, answering that those are assets posted as collateral for certain positions. Did you discuss this with Can's son about Alameda's exemption, about automatic liquidation? He said no, that at the time he was not aware of these topics, and specifically he was not aware of these topics by name. Asked what he meant by that. Stuttering again, I don't believe that I was aware at the time. Sorry, I just having a hard time recalling. I don't recall having any conversations that were contemporaneous and phrased that way. That he didn't recall being aware, made aware of the specifics at at the time, but that he may have been aware of some speed bumps. Prosecutor Sassoon asking him, elaborate on speed bumps. What do you mean by that? Sam, I apologize. I'm sorry. This will be somewhat substantial digression. Sassoon pouncing on Sam, saying, I don't think my question calls for extensive context. She wants him to answer it. She says, I'm asking about Alameda's exemption from auto liquidation, and you said speed bumps. What did you mean by that? I apologize. I apologize, prosecutor. I wish I can give you more specific answers. Saying there had been general discussions about chaos that would happen if Alameda were to liquidate. With the prosecutor chiming in, she's asking about a typical customer. Sam clarifying, oh, you mean not a market maker? Prosecutor, were you aware that Alameda could have an overall negative balance? With Sam saying, adding up all assets? Is that correct? Prosecutor saying, yes. Now answer the question. Sam responding, I'm not sure it was in the code base. I may be misunderstanding what the allow negative balance feature was. Do you mean the negative asset value? Seems to be evading. Anyways, prosecutor brings up an exhibit. Mark Cohen, objection. But the prosecutor wants to put this in because it has to do what he told counsel. Judge Kaplan chiming in, saying part of the problem is that the witness has an interesting way of responding to questions. Sam's lawyer, Mark Cohen, part of the problem is this type of hearing. Oh, ouch. Judge Kaplan shooting right back, saying that if Sam wants to put on a defense, it's through this hearing or not at all. Ouch. What the hell does that mean? See how everything is curated? Everything that they're going to allow the jurors to hear. Anyways, Mark Cohen concedes, he understands, they move on. The judge clarifying that the question by the prosecutors never mentioned net asset value, but that Sam keeps using those terms. Sam apologizes, and they move on. Seems that strategy that Sam took there kind of worked because the prosecutor is now literally saying they're moving on. Anyways, prosecution, when did you believe that Alameda was permitted to borrow funds from FTX? Sam said he believed it was permissible to borrow from assets held as collateral for margin positions. Prosecution, did that include withdrawing assets off the exchange? Sam said yes, with risk analysis. Asked which attorneys he discussed this with, he said Romnick. But the prosecution saying Romnick is not an attorney, so, well, the answer is no. They move on. Prosecution moves on. Let's talk about loans. Were they all documented? Sam said he thought so. Prosecution, did you discuss with lawyers that the funds were coming from FTX customers? Sam said he would not characterize it that way, saying no, he did not discuss that with lawyers. Asked why not just go through Alameda? Sam said the investment target did not want Alameda. Prosecutor saying, for example, with Robinhood, you did not want Alameda to be the investor. Sam said right, because it could be a conflict of interest. Asked, was the buyback of Binance financed through loans? Sam said, according to his memory, that it may have been a loan to paper bid. Do you believe you should not have embezzled customer funds? Objection, sustained. Despite being sustained, Sam answered, no, I did not believe I should do that, saying he felt he should answer it. Asked, what about the CEOs of exchanges using customer money for personal expenses? Mark Cohen, objection, sustained. Prosecutor moves on to Daniel Friedberg, shady guy. They ask Sam if he hired him. Sam said yes. He was asked if he was reluctant in hiring a general counsel. Sam said he was reluctant to hire the wrong general counsel. Mark Cohen, objection, overruled. Prosecutor asking, were you aware that Daniel Friedberg was general counsel at a firm that had a scandal about insider trading? Sam said yes. Not only that, Sam said yes, a high-level scandal at that. Prosecution adding a criminal scandal. Prosecutor asking, were you aware that Daniel Friedberg used illegal narcotics? Mark Cohen, objection. The judge, sustained. And then saying, Miss Sassoon, what are you doing? No further questions. Now, of course, that wrap-up at the end was super interesting. So from that, the prosecution and the defense team to see what they can use and not use. With Mark Cohen adding at the end of the hearing today that the defense team can elicit the testimony that they want, that they're not going to be advancing the formal advice of counsel given strategy that they once wanted to do before. With Mark Cohen saying that he only reasonably relied on their advice. Interesting there. So the prosecution chimes in and they tell the judge that the involvement of the lawyers was collateral involvement of lawyers, of counsel, which according to the prosecution doesn't go to the key question of using funds. They say that there's no testimony that Daniel Friedberg was told about the agent agreement. So Judge Kaplan will rule tomorrow on what he will allow. Prosecution also saying that tomorrow, if Sam continues to answer questions like this, kind of evading, fluttering a little bit, that their cross-examination is going to take a long time. Anyways, Mark Cohen says that their subpoena, the defense's subpoena for Fenwick Law Firm, was denied. Crazy stuff. Pretty explosive. I can't tell if Sam did well or did terribly. I think sometimes he did okay. Other times he totally bombed. And Danielle Sassoon, that prosecutor, was completely pouncing on the prosecutor and Judge Kaplan, kind of shaping what the jury gets to hear. They're curating, they're filtering whatever the defense argument is. And I actually really don't like that. So the last video I posted called Slim Shady. So in the video I highlight how the defense was basically prevented from making certain arguments by the prosecution, the Department of Justice, and even Judge Kaplan himself. Judge Kaplan even saying that there are a number of areas of potential testimony that the prosecution said that the jury should not hear. Did you guys catch that? Potential testimony, that there are areas of this testimony that the government has decided the jury should not hear. It seems that the media, the crypto, finance, and just the regular media in general, it seems that they all kind of framed, at first, Sam's defense as being all about blaming Caroline, which honestly at this point, I think just for the media, the whole thing was likely just made up baloney. To kind of sell the story because it's sexier. His ex-girlfriend, CEO, math whiz, and this camp of nerds handling fintech, a global crypto exchange, a global crypto empire that's way sexier than what the defense is now actually arguing. As we can see, the Sam defense is basically framing this whole thing as kind of a setup. And as Can's son, during his testimony, there was that whole terms of service disagreement under oath saying that the terms of service was changed. Remember, that's the guy who bailed to Japan, didn't bother to come back except just to sign a plea agreement that he signed 2 days, less than 48 hours before he testified, so that he's never prosecuted for what he did at FTX. And Can's son worked along with this Daniel Friedberg character that's obviously extremely shady given the previous scandal that he was involved in. So did Sam have a hand in all of this? Well, very likely. But at the same time, you can't deny the missed connections that the judge and maybe the prosecution is not allowing. Now, granted, the prosecutor and the judge made the point today of telling Sam's defense that the question at hand is very specific, whether Sam did what he did, not whether there was involvement with other people. Separate question. Also, a major problem with Sam's defense here is when he said that he knew of Daniel Friedberg's super sketchy past. I mean, how the hell do you hire that guy after all that? Involving shell companies, multiple jurisdictions, according to the Norwegian government, the largest tax fraud in their history. So instead, this whole thing just being about a group of crypto nerds from Ivy League schools, it seems to go a little deeper. The mystery is getting actually pretty bizarre. So we'll see what Judge Kaplan allows the jurors to actually hear. All right, guys, well, thanks for spending time with me. Always great to see you. Please don't forget to smash a like if you haven't, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you in the next one.